All right, now moving along to the show. The first segment tonight is S-scale modeling. Our host is Jamie Bothwell, and our sponsor is the National Association of S-Gauges.
Are you looking for something a little different in your model railroading? The National Association of S-Gaugers suggests you take a look at S-scale. An S-scale model is just 36% longer than an HO model, but it's 2.5 times the volume. The larger size translates to increased ease of maintenance, more durable details, and improved electrical and mechanical reliability. S-scale modelers use accurately proportioned wheels and track systems with KD-style couplers. Exceptional S-scale models and layouts are being built in both standard and narrow gauge. Locomotives and rolling stock are available from a number of manufacturers in both ready-to-run and kit form. Equipment is available both new and through an active secondary market. There are numerous manufacturers of track, buildings, vehicles, and details, both ready to run and in kit form, available for those who love to build. And many S modelers enjoy kit bashing and scratch building in the larger size S offers. To learn more, visit the website of the National Association of S-Gaugers. Here you will find the history of the scale, information about clubs in your area, see layouts and connect with current manufacturers and online groups, plus much more. In short, the website has everything you'll need to explore model railroading in S-scale today. Come on board and visit soon.
All right, and so our host for this is Jamie Bothwell. And Jamie, I understand you may have a guest this evening.
Yes, we have one of my good friends, Andy Millette. Andy lives in Etobicoke, Ontario. There he is. And he's building an amazing layout, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it. So we'll have sort of an introduction tonight, and we'll have Andy back maybe a couple of times to tell us more about what it is he's doing.
Fantastic.
So
welcome, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yes, I live in Ontario, Canada. So accordingly, I'm modeling a Southwestern Ontario branch line junction. And the reasoning for that is because a branch line allows me to focus on sort of essentials and not extras and try to get rid of equipment that doesn't really fit on the layout. Junctions can include interchanges. Junction can deal out operating challenges. Research that I've been doing has been quite satisfying. And I've been gathering lots of resources to model this as prototypically as possible as I can. And I'm really actually concentrating on the operation of this area. And this area I can model different eras, but I picked between 1949 and 1959. So anyway, I've got a PowerPoint thing that I can share, but I'm not sure how to do that. I'll give it a shot, see what happens.
Okay.
So just a suggestion, on the green button at the bottom, click the green share button.
Yeah.
And then click the upper left video window, which is actually your screen. And that way we'll see what you're seeing. So when you put the slides up on your screen, we'll see them.
Okay.
The upper left.
Upper left, I see that.
Yep. Just click on that. Just double click on that. And we'll see your screen.
Is that it?
And then go. That's it. It's perfect. Now, click down on the very bottom right next to the slider. There's a little side scroll down to the right. No, up, over to the left. Oh, no, stay down there. Stay down there on the bottom.
Yes.
Just go to the left. Go to the left just about an inch. No, an inch.
Okay.
Right? See the thing that looks like a little screen there? There are 4 icons. The right one looks like a little screen. Click on that right there.
This one?
that one.
Yep. Click on that one. Click there.
I think I did. Oops. Okay.
There you go. Good. You're
Go.
all set.
Okay.
And if you're not on the first slide, just roll your mouse up and it'll go back to the first slide.
We're good. Okay.
Cool.
So this is a brief explanation of what I'm doing. I'm the junction I'm modeling is Parkhead, and it was a little place out in the middle of nowhere in some farmers' fields, and it connected the Owen Sound subdivision with the Wyerton subdivision, and the Owen Sound division came up from Palmerston, Ontario, which is a big junction on its own. As you can see here, just reading through, I'm not going to read it for you. It's already there. There was a lot of a lot of movements up there. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to model the operations, not necessarily with the correct equipment, not necessarily covering all the little towns and stations in between, because I'm in S scale, and S scale does take up a little bit of real estate. So anyway, I'm moving right along here. There's the little thing. There we go. So this is the area that I'm kind of modeling. Is this is an overview. Some of the trains would originate in Toronto, Ontario, go up to Guelph here, through Palmerston, which I just mentioned, up to Parkhead, which is the junction that I'm modeling, and go to Owen Sound. At one time, in the 30s, they'd go up to Wyerton, which was the original main destination up there. But because Owen Sound had a deeper harbor, they changed the routing in the 30s to Owen Sound. Here's a more of a close-up of what I'm modeling: Parkhead, Owen Sound, and Wyerton, with staging tracks down here, and I'll show you how it's going to be done. Or it's actually done. It's the layout's almost complete track-wise. Here are the resources I used. 2 books. I call the one on the left the First Testament, and the second one on the right the Second Testament. 2 divisions of Blue Water. To Blue Water was written by the late Peter Bowers, and it was the kind of the match that started everything for me to model that whole thing. It's all about the CNR going up the Bruce Peninsula. And then Ian Wilson in 2000, and I think it was 6, I believe, came out with Steam Over Palmerston, which is the Second Testament about it. So here are the resources that I've been drawing from. It's amazing the stuff you can find if you look. A lot of photographers from the United States came up because steam was on its last legs in the 1950s, and it had already gone the way of the diesel in the 1950s for a lot of steam fans of the States. So they came up and took a lot of shots of this area, thankfully. So these employee timetables were really beneficial to me in researching this. Just happened to have, purchased a few throughout the years. This is the top one's the Owen Sound subdivision, showing all the routes, all the stops from Palmerston up to Owen Sound. But I'm only modeling the bottom section here, Parkhead to Owen Sound. I'm not including Ben Allen. Well, I'm kind of including Ben Allen on the helix, and I'm kind of including Shallow Lake. The Wyerton subdivision is what comes out of Parkhead as well, and there were 4 little stops there. I think it was only about 6 miles. I think I'll have to look at that again between Parkhead and Wyerton. It wasn't too far away, a couple of stops, but I'm not modeling Hepworth or Clavering. This is the overhead of Parkhead Junction. In 2022, Jamie Bothwell and I decided we'd take a little bike ride up there, but it's got a lot of ballast and rocks, so it's kind of hard to ride your bike. It's okay for an ATV, but as you can see, this would have been where the line went down to Palmerston, connected to Toronto and Hamilton, going to Owen Sound, and then up to Wyerton. So you have a Y here. The south leg of the Y would go to Owen Sound, north leg of the Y to go to Wyerton, and the main from Wyerton would start about here and go up to Wyerton. Here's the track plan that I came up with, but I must say Jamie was responsible for telling me where to put the Y. My room is 22 by 18 with kind of this little area here, which I requisitioned from the management so I could use it. This little thing down here, let's see if I can get my mouse back, and okay, there it is. This thing here is actually a train turntable. It was built for me by Jim Martin, and it'll hold an almost 5-foot train, 3 of them, and you turn the whole turntable around and you can reverse the direction of the entire train. So I can take some of the trains that originate from the train turntable, run them all the way down to Owen Sound, and switch around with them, send them all the way back, and then the next operating session just basically turn the whole train around, which makes it kind of easy. Parkhead, let's talk about the junction itself. This is what I've concentrated on the most. It's as I said, it connected the subdivisions, and it was a junction in the middle of nowhere. And I got that on a pretty good, reliable source that his name was Bob Sandusky, who graciously let me use a photograph of Parkhead Station as it existed after 1935. This is the Parkhead Station in 1935, I believe, 34, 35. It burnt down, and the Canadian National Railways would replace their stations with old coaches or old baggage cars. And I believe this is CNR coach number 3174, and I can't remember the number of that box car, which became the freight shed. So this is the only shot I've ever seen of this thing without a pesky locomotive or freight car sitting in front of it. And thanks to Bob, he let me use this slide. This is the end of the line, which would be Wyerton. This is the Wyerton station. It's a kind of a nifty one. It's got what they call a witch hat type of station, and this would be in the in the Grand Trunk era. That would be pre 34, 35 when they decided to go to Owen Sound. Nice old car here showing the date, and yeah, it was quite a nice looking station. Here it is in the 50s, late 50s. There's snow up there like there is in most of Canada in the wintertime. So that's a nice shot of in the 50s of a 10-wheeler, number 1525. It's good to have this side of the station so you can see all what it looked like. I do have a floor plan for the thing inside of elevations. Jamie and I went up there one summer, and I measured everything except for one measurement, so I'm gonna have to go back up. So what else is new? This is the facilities that were in Wyerton. I can't model them all. If I was going to model them all, I mean, I'd have the layout going out underneath the front yard, which I can't do, of course. There was a turntable there. That's kind of cool. They actually did have a roundhouse at one time. It was only 8 feet long. One thing about this layout that's a bit of a disappointment is that there were no coaling towers, and there was a water tower at Owen Sound, but that got changed. So these are the possibilities for modeling, which I'll be encompassing, and I do have rolling stock that is, I've either built or, well, mostly built, I guess, to be able to accommodate these industries. So that's the upper level again. Once again, I'll go through it. There's Parkhead, and it goes all the way to Wyerton. And as you can see, that's where the turntable was. The station would be over here. Theoretically, it's 56 inches high off the ground. This track here would have gone way out there for the British American Oil Company and the fish houses, etc. But I don't have that room, obviously. And in reality, the helix did not turn out to be 42 inches. It ended up being 38. Everything looks great on paper, and this was drawn up in AutoCAD until, of course, you start building. And I've come into a lot of instances of that. Oh, this looks great. Like this building. Oh, I guess I can't do that. But anyway, so that there it is there, the upper level again of the track plan. This is part of Wyerton. I can't tell you the era exactly, but this is, shows you the tracks and a couple of refrigerator cars in a fish house or an ice house. There's an escarpment, which I'll be building. It's part of the end of the Bruce Peninsula. There's probably a fish house back there. There's another bit of the escarpment. Somebody's taken a picture. That's called Cold Poise Bay. A lot of people like going swimming there. I think I was swimming there once. Now, getting to Owen Sound, there's a lower level of the layout, and you go down the 38-inch helix, and you end up where there's the main line here. There's a passing siding, and then there's super test oil tanks. At one time, Ontario had this oil company called Super Test, and it was a really neat. It had neat logos and everything, but it got eaten up by, I think it was either Sunoco or BP in the 1970s. Over here are things called boarding tracks, and this is where they would take boxcars and put boards on the inside, and then bring them over to here where the grain elevators were, or grain elevator was. The grain elevator was owned by Owen Sound itself, not the two railroads that serviced it, because the two railroads didn't want, after they had wooden ones and they burnt down, they didn't want to build new ones. So Owen Sound decided they needed grain elevators, so they built their own cement one, and they owned it themselves, and the two railroads did service it. And the line comes down here to Owen Sound. Here's the turntable and the roundhouse, and there was a stockyard. There's Northern Paint and Varnish. Up here, there's Harrison's Lumber, and there's this, actually right here was the RCA building, which was formerly the North American Bent Chair Company. And down here, and I'm missing a track, there should be a track there, is William Kennedy and Sons Foundry, which cast big ship propellers. And once again, here's in the upper level, you can see still, the parkhead is over this. So this is all built, but not scenic. The turntable's not in yet, and these tracks aren't in yet, because I have to access the backdrop and the scenery, and I'm in the process of building the RCA building. This was an overhead. Here's a resource you can use. Our local newspapers or your main newspapers in their archives, they might have photographs, and I got this from the Toronto Star. I just happened to be, thumbing through them, and then they wanted $50 for the photograph until I told them I was a model railroader, and said, oh, okay, I was building a model of it, so they gave it to me for 20. That was kind of nice of them. They didn't have to do that. So, and then so this side here is the Canadian Pacific side, and this side here is the Canadian National side. You can see there's a bridge that goes across, and that's the interchange. And the Canadian National will go across and pick up the Canadian Pacific grain cars, bring all the way up here to the grain elevator. And I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do that. I could with a lot of stress, and I don't know if I want to do the stress part, but I might. It'd have to go, that whole thing would have to go underneath that train turntable, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. So this is a little description. I don't really have to go through it. You can read it. It'd be redundant if I read it out to you, but if you read it quickly, you'll get the idea of what's going on with it. So the industries, that was 1 million bushel grain elevator. It's kind of impressive. I've outlined the industries pretty much there. There's some rolling stock that can be used. This is all available in S scale. One of my friends, Simon Perron, who's been responsible for a lot of Canadian steam kits in brass and nickel silver rather, has actually produced tank cars and GS Gons, CNR GS Gons that would fit in here. Passenger equipment, American model stuff could be used, which I've used. This is the original picture of Owen Sound's roundhouse. As you can see, there's a beautiful enclosed water tank, and there is, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stall roundhouse. By the time I'm modeling, it turns into a 3-stall roundhouse, and they use water plugs, unfortunately. This would be most likely the Grand Trunk era, and you can see the raised concrete turntable pit. It's kind of nifty. Later on, I think you'll be able to see it. It's changed. Here's the station in the 40s. That's a CNR 440 coming in. They stopped using those in the late 40s. Here's the station. Here's on the station platform in the 1950s. There's the grain elevator. There's an overhead crane. I have no idea why they have it there. It's a stub track. But anyway, they have an overhead crane there, and it doesn't span 2 tracks. It only spans 1 track. Maybe that's from a bygone era. This is an H6C 1525 coming into the station. That's the freight shed there, one of the many freight sheds they had. Here's a modern picture in the winter, of course, of some chopped-nosed GP9s coming in. It's snow all over the place. We don't get as much snow anymore. I'm not sure why, but I don't mind. I haven't had to have the snowblower out for 2 years now. It's pretty cool. Here's a station in the 80s, 88 actually. William Kennedy's and Son has gotten larger. You can see everything's overgrown. Not much use now. The station today still exists. It's a museum, and the curator is very nice. I was up there in September, and he was helping me out with a whole bunch of information that I needed for my backdrop for Owen Sound. Here's an E10 Mogul number 81. As you can see, there's no coaling tower. They use a steam crane, and which makes an interesting bit of operation. The two hopper cars are Illinois Central offset hoppers. Canadian National's company coal would come up from, I think, coal fields in Kentucky via the Illinois Central and the Grand Trunk Western. So there were very, very rarely did you see Canadian National hopper cars for service. Here's 86. There's the roundhouse. Remember, it originally had 6 stalls. Now it's only got 3. Remember how it was raised up and it was concrete? Now it's not raised up anymore. The tracks are all level with it. Here's 1564. No water tower, just a water plug in the 50s and 40s and 50s. Water tower's gone. Enclosed water towers, I think, look cool. Unfortunately, I can't have one.